you doing, John?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
I am great. Great interview with Gary Voorhees, and you get yourself coming on in here, making things happen, and it's been a good day. Been a very good day.
Yeah. That was crazy. And I just want to point out two quick things that Gary said I want to draw attention to, and that is one that no matter how much you love someone, PTSD or any one of these conditions is one that definitely needs for professional or some kind of outside help. Don't feel you can solve it yourself, and don't put any pressure on yourself to do so. It's the worst thing you can do for yourself. You gotta just help them get help, and don't put it on yourself to solve their problems for them. And then the second thing is all about the importance of taking care of yourself. There's a reason why on the airplane they tell you that you have to put your mask on first and then your kids. It's because you'll pass out and then your kids will die. So it's really important to take care of yourself. It's really important to do all those things first. And it's the same reason why taking care of yourself and actually putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's actually a favor to everyone around you because they want you at your best. And if you're not at your best, then you're not actually being yourself to everyone around you. So what Gary said is incredibly important.
Put your air mask on. It's all that matters. Put it on. It works. All right. Let's get right to it. And let's we're going back into the isotopes.
Yes, because I think I have something for you, Dave. I think I have something that's going to help.
Okay.
So, are you ready?
Not really. This one's caught me off guard a little bit because, science and me are like oil and water.
I know. I felt bad the internet because I tried to keep it really simple for time, and I realized I simplified it so much that I possibly made it more confusing than it even needed to be. So I want to offer some clarity. Okay? All right.
Okay, so let's give it a try.
The only one thing you got to keep in mind before I give you this example is that if you look at two isotopes of the same element, so you have an element like lithium and you have two isotopes of it, they have the same number of protons, they have the same number of electrons, I believe, in every case, but what they have different is this different number of neutrons, and it's the neutrons that are the difference. Okay, and neutrons do have a very, very light mass, so there is an impact. To give you an example of why this is a big deal and why the whole idea of a periodic table, the way we grew up with it, is so kind of bizarre because there's so much more to it, is they did an experiment where they took two isotopes of lithium and they gave them these two isotopes of lithium to mice that were nursing. Okay. One isotope of lithium caused the mice to overfeed their young. The other isotope of lithium caused them to not feed their young. Exact same lithium. The only difference was it was two different isotopes of the same element. And that's why isotopes are so important. And to give you an idea of what we use it for, aside from like explosives, is this is how we do tracers in the body for tracing certain medical problems. It's also used in certain cancer-killing elements, and it's also isotopes are also used for tracking bad currency. And so it is something that we use as well. It's not something that only the aliens use. So come on, a little bit helpful?
Not at all. In one ear, out the other.
Oh, come on.
Dude, I'm Woo. You're who, what, where, when, why, and how. I'm one word. You're six.
All right. Well, hopefully one of you, at least one or two of you, found some clarity in what I just offered.
The only isotopes I know are the Springfield isotopes, minor league baseball team.
My goodness. Okay. All right. Okay. On to other news. Jacques Vallée sold his soul.
Did he? To whom?
To Abilob, essentially. So I totally jest. While I agree with a lot of the reasons you've given, I really see the Galileo project as something that needs to be supported at some level by everybody. And so I think at some level this is a good thing, especially if Jacques Vallée can provide some real value to it. But I did find it a little bit funny that this was coming out after, the other conversations that we've all been having over the previous weeks and months, as each person has announced that they've been joining the Galileo project, and we've all been like, oh no, not another one, and then here comes Jacques Vallée, with this announcement. But all in all, my personal opinion is I think it's a good thing.
You know what this is reminding me of? Were you a wrestling fan back in the early 2000s?
No.
When the New World Order came out. When the New World Order came out, Kevin Hall or Scott Hall and Kevin Nash came out as the Wolf Pack, started the New World Order. Their first recruit was Hulk Hogan, getting him to come from the good side over to the dark side where he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, dropped the Real American theme song, and went with Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child, right? And then they just started recruiting everybody. Lex Luger, Macho Man Randy Savage, Buff Bagwell, everybody. They were recruiting everybody. And it got to the point where it just got ridiculous. That's what the Galileo project reminds me of right now. Totally. The who's who, let's join the Galileo project. This is UFO NWO. That is the hashtag that we're going to make a t-shirt for. UFO NWO for life.
There you go. No, it's hard, right? Because how much value can all these people add? At the same time, if any of them can bring anything unique to the table, by all means. Let's support Avi. It's a good project, right? But it is hard. It is a little bit hard to digest, just in light of just all the things that have been going on, and it's been a little hard.
Okay, so what does Avi Loeb bring to the Galileo project?
You mean, what is Valet? Well, I don't know what Avi Loeb. What do you think? What do you think Avi Loeb brings? I think it's bringing money.
I'm sorry, I meant Jacques Vallée.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. Well, the thing is that my guess is what they see him as his value as being is his reputation, flat out. He is hands down the most famous scientist on Earth, at least historically, that hasn't been involved in the UFO program, right? So in the phenomenon at all, right? So bringing him on board, it's essentially like hiring that guy from the Third Kind movie, right? The character was based on, right? It's hiring the guy, right? So there's a huge PR aspect of it for them, right? And let's face it, he's a damn good scientist. It's amazing how brilliant he is, considering how long he's been doing this for, and so forth. And so to me, having him on board, makes a lot of sense. But as far as what is he really going to bring? Well, what he really should bring to them is his database skills. That's really what he should bring to them. What he really should bring to them is his ability to build very, very complex databases that handle lots and lots and lots and lots of different completely bizarre data types. That's what he's really, really good at, and that's what I would like to see him bring to that project. But I don't know what they actually think. I don't know what, and my guess is what he actually does, what they think he's going to do, and what he thinks he's going to do are three completely different things.
With the star-studded lineup that the Galileo project now has, from very high quality names in this field to some questionable, and you know what, I'll even throw Lou Elizondo in that questionable category at this point, and with Seth Stoshak.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
I know what you're saying. I'm just kidding. I know what you're saying. There's
still a lot of controversy around him, is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And let's face it, anytime you bring in anyone who's not, it doesn't have to be an academic, but who doesn't have a science background, you have to justify it at some level,
Well, that's the lobbying that comes involved. Lobbying for money for this project. It's pretty easy to lobby for money when you got the guy who allegedly ran the program.
Mm-hmm.
That's who people with millions of dollars to spend want to talk to. They don't want to talk to Vallée. Okay, they don't want to talk to Avi Loeb because they're going to get the very high intellect conversation. They want the boots on the ground person who's running, chasing after these things to say, yes, they're real. That's where it makes sense. That's why Seth Stoshak does not make sense. I'm still anti-Seth Stoshak on this list. I really am. But I don't get a say. I don't get a purpose of that.
Yeah. I agree.
I should actually get to my question rather than just sitting there at the end of a paragraph with a period instead of a question mark. So the question mark is, considering that the Galileo Project has brought in some very interesting and significant names, along with some controversial names, does this help the credibility of the project in moving forward with someone like Jacques Vallée, who is well into his 80s and still going strong? But let's face it, he's on the downside of his career.
Don't agree. Because essentially, once again, so realize I come at Jacques Vallée from a very different angle than most people, right? Because I live in Silicon Valley, right? So I knew about him outside of the kind of the UFO thing, right? And so to me, what, because let's face it, like what he did for other projects, right? For some very important projects, is he designed the database. He's the one that was able to come up with the database schema, with all the structure, with all the ability to actually handle. I mean, they did for ATIP, they ended up with 11 distinct databases that you had to then bring together into some sort of a unified reporting. I mean, like, oh man. And Jacques Vallée, like, I mean, he's been doing databases since the beginning of time. I mean, the guy's a freaking wizard at it. And so to me, like, that's what I would hire him for. To me, like, that's a skill set he can bring that probably no one else in the entire Galileo project has any clue about. Not at his level.
Will he bring money? Does he still have that kind of pull?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And he can bring international. Well, not that Galileo will have any trouble with international money, but he can bring money from different places. He can bring money from non-traditionally academic frontiers and so forth. And the thing is that, let's face it, anytime you have anyone who someone else might just want a chance to meet, they might just want to have a chance to talk to them, at a cocktail party, right? Then boom, they're a valuable person from when it comes to shareholding, fundraising.
Very true. Very true. We got a couple minutes to go here. We'll finish it out with Jacques Vallée here joining the Galileo Project. This does give, on a positive note, the Galileo Project a real 1-2 punch when it comes to historic figures regarding this. Avi Loeb obviously is the newer one, as he put his career and reputation on the line with the Oumuamua, and then of course going into the past with Jacques Vallée. Now look, there are brilliant people on this team. Brilliant people. But if you're looking for scientific name recognition that's going to really pump the subject, it does add a nice 1-2 punch to everything.
Oh yes. And another thing that I should add that isn't a benefit to Galileo, but is a benefit to all of us, and that is that there are many, many people being brought into this project that would not normally have worked together, would not normally have crossed paths, would not normally have ended up on the same email list, in the same meetings, in the same, and now they're going to be. And so this is going to build at least 2 or 3 friendships that never existed before and wouldn't have existed if not for this kind of coming together of people. And very often those friendships net significant results.
What kind of results are we looking for now? Like, do we need to stack the team anymore, or do we have to continue stacking or continue adding pieces to this puzzle? before we can start looking for the findings.
No, I would say from a long time ago, all we really needed was data. And that's all we ever needed, and that's all we ever are going to need. It's all about the data. The problem is that getting the capital to get the right instrumentation up there to generate all that data is I think the more pressing problem. And so I think if from that point of view, yes, then someone like Valet, is definitely going to help when it comes to raising money, and could help crossover. I mean, quite honestly, I've been in situations where we just need to bring one person on just to get access to some funding.
That's the big one. Money drives everything. Speaking with Jacques Vallée, him and Gary Nolan have a paper coming out. And what you got on this, John?
Yeah, so this is very cool. So the paper's actually already out. It came out a couple weeks ago, and the thing that Gary said in this interview, which I thought was very, very exciting, was that in the weeks after the publication of the paper, he was approached by some people from the government, and they basically said that they were impressed with his work, and they were specifically impressed with the way he handled his research when it came to this topic, his resistance to coming to conclusions, and his ability to communicate his results, and they actually inquired whether he would want to actually help out, and so he might actually be engaging with elements of this UAP organization at a professional level.
The money that is trying to be raised here, is this private money or government money?
No, so this is another cool topic. So basically, Gary is Dr. Nolan is basically doing what everyone should be doing, and that is, instead of thinking about, ooh, did the legislation pass, it's, oh wait, that means there's funding. Ooh, how do you get that funding, and what can you do with that funding? That's the way to go, and that's exactly what Gary's doing. So what Dr. Gary Nolan is doing is saying, look, wait a second, now that there is this this, I got to look it up because I mess it up every time I try to remember it, this AOIMSG group, I gotta come up with a good acronym, a good sentence for that one. Now that this group exists, that now he has two things. One, he has a group that he can go to actually inquire about other parts, right? So there's lots of other crashes that he's heard of, lots of other places where material's been recovered that he's heard of, that he hadn't luck getting access to. So he's hoping to be able to use this office as a conduit for basically exchanging and acquiring other parts to test, which I think is a very, very cool and a very logical way to use them. The second thing, which is what you're talking about, is that there will be funding as well with this, and they will be and individual groups or companies or whatever will be able to apply for that funding. And so basically what this means is that Gary, one, will hopefully be able to recover a little of money that he's personally spent. I was personally quite shocked to find out that he believes that he's actually dropped about 70 grand of his own money on this testing. But more importantly, there is a new scope that he wants to build that will shed a very different light on what we're talking about. It'll be extremely expensive to build, and he needs a lot of money to do so. And so he's hoping to be able to raise money through this UAP fund to further his research and allow other people to take advantage of his gear.
How much money did he put in of his own?
70 grand, about.
Wow. He must really, really be into something big if he's willing to dig into his own pocket.
Well, I mean, keep in mind that Dr. Nolan, he's not your typical Stanford professor. Gary's special. He's a special kid. And the special kid, he's already spun out 4 separate companies from the research in his laboratory. So the fundamental research he's done in his laboratory has resulted in 4 separate companies being produced, and he's basically is founder of all those companies. So I mean, he's done very well for himself.
Okay, but the
That doesn't
majority
mean that 70 grand should be out of his pocket. All I'm saying is that he probably a lot more like he's a lot more likely to have that resources than someone else.
Okay, so the fact that he has put 70 grand in his own out of his own pocket to study the UFO phenomena and what is going on with that, is there a chance that he could ever recoup that?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's the other thing that he could do through these funds is now the truth of the matter is that he'll tell himself, I know how this works. He'll tell himself, oh look, they just sent me $200,000. I dropped 70 grand before, so now that's paid back, and we got 130 grand to spend on stuff. But what will end up happening is he'll end up spending the full 200 grand on gear, and he won't actually get his 70 grand back. That's how this works. That's just how labs are.
I guess that's what happens when you literally are in love with what you are studying.
Absolutely. And you are only ever going to get good at anything you love. Anything you hate, you will never become as good at as you want to be.
It's kind of like podcasting, John. All you do is throw money into it. Just hope.
Just hope.
And hope. All right. Final topic for you tonight. Government paper published that the U.S. Gov has reached out to Dr. Nolan. Does this go along the same lines?
Yeah. So basically, no. Since this paper was published, the government has reached out to him and acknowledged his good work in his unbiased approach. And they specifically like the way he communicates his results and so forth, which I completely agree. I mean, you look at the way he's handled some of these topics, and he's handled some very, very emotionally volatile samples, and he's done a beautiful job of just playing such a clean line to it. He's really it's very admirable the way his approach to science. It really is.
Right. Okay. So I need more than that though, man. Because
I'm sorry. I apologize. No. I apologize. I alluded to it before, so that's where I don't want to repeat myself. But what it comes down to is that what we have and he believed that they were. I believe he said he thought that they were CIA. I don't know if that was confirmed or not. But basically, what it came down to is that in the weeks after the paper with Jacques Vallée was published, people from the U.S. government reached out to Dr. Gary Nolan and invited him to start engaging with them on future projects. So what we're talking about is essentially what that essentially means is that the potential exists for Gary to for Dr. Nolan to be taking on a similar kind of spokesman type role that, like, say, Lou Elizondo's had.
Would he have to leave his job at Stanford for that?
Well, he wouldn't. So, no.
I mean, no, but I think this opens up a lot of curious minds, though, John, because as this progresses, and if the Galileo project, for instance, has any success, obviously the United States government in one fashion or another is going to try and piggyback off of that. And if they went and offered somebody like Gary Nolan to head up a department for that, that would make sense.
Yeah, well, certainly in a lot of situations, yes. In the case of Dr. Gary Nolan, I don't agree. Basically, it is, they are the Nolan Labs. He has 30 full-time researchers on staff in his lab doing work for him. It's a magnificent setup. It's one of the best I've ever heard of. I'm intensely jealous. So yeah, it's possible. I think it's very unlikely, because one of the things he talks about in his interview is the fact that as much as he does love all this stuff, this is all done in his free time. This is not his real job. He has a real job. He's just lucky enough to be able to be working in the field where the equipment and methods that he uses for his normal job are the same types of devices and techniques that he's developing that are useful when it comes to researching UAP debris.
Well, let's hope he gets more. Let's hope he gets more. And
Absolutely.
this came across my email here. Totally, I know you're not prepared for this, but apparently, as reported by Christopher Sharp of the Liberation Times, Robert Pinotti, president of ICER, the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research, has met with San Marino's two heads of state to discuss Project Titan, a proposal that would see San Marino make an historic United Nations request for the creation of a periodic UFO UAP conferences under its aegis.
So this has been in play for a while now. I first caught wind of this when Elizondo first went there several months ago. I remember when that was, but it was when the report came out. So it was several months ago. Talking about the fact that the big play that they had, that local village, was that they basically wanted to take this conference that they have and basically parlay that, like turn that into a bid to be the home base for the UN UFO representative organization. So basically having an official organization within the UN for UAPs and have that be based in San Marino. And so that was, now I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know how far along that is, but that is, I believe, what this is alluding to. And this is what I heard was the game plan like 4 months ago. It's a long-term game plan.
I want to say a big thank you, John, for another successful edition of the Unbiased UFO Report. Absolutely fantastic. And I will hope and pray to my God above that we never talk isotopes again.
We'll get you there, buddy. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out, and hopefully at least one of you found value in it. So thank you much, everyone.
Isotopes, people.